Hello again, I am Bloody, and shall we have a chat about the absolute best, most powerful, most insane, epic, overpowered armor build in Monster Hunter Wilds for any and every weapon. A build so ridiculously powerful it is impossible for you to fail a hunt ever again, or even so much as come close to carting an immortal build of epic power of godlike majesty. Sure you do. That's why you clicked on a video clearly titled and thumbnail to be about that subject, right? Well, there's one thing I want to cover before we get to that part, and it's the thing that I have to say about other content creators making videos and guides about this exact same subject and how they're full of shit, basically. Now, I normally don't like quote-unquote YouTube drama. I don't like throwing other content creators under the bus. They're just out there doing their thing, and I choose to respect that largely, and as long as they leave me alone, I'll leave them alone. For the most part. But if I'm going to be honest with you, I'm suffering through a depressive episode at the moment. My fuse is quite a lot shorter than usual, and there's a thing they have been doing that has been driving me absolutely insane with cold fury, basically. And I want to talk about how you know, the viewer, can never, ever trust a damn word they say. Because they're full of crap. They are. And they're just here to manipulate you, to exploit you. And don't give a single crap about you, the audience member. They don't give a single crap about the game they're talking about that you love so much that you seek out this kind of content to enhance your gameplay. And this all starts with a simple concept of mind. I don't know about you folks, but speaking for myself, I find witnessing behavior born of cognitive dissonance in other people uncomfortable in the extreme. And I mean it really, really irritates me. And when I use the word irritates, I don't just mean like walking around in wet socks kind of irritation, ew. I mean accidentally rubbing your eyes immediately after having chopped up a whole bunch of jalapenos while making chili kind of irritation. An utterly unignorable, undeniable, searingly and completely disruptive kind of irritation. If you are unfamiliar with the term, cognitive dissonance is a brain thing. What happens when someone tries to hold two or more ideas, opinions, that they consider to be true and logically sound, but are, in fact, fundamentally conflicting to one another when placed side by side. Think of a cigarette smoker. It's basically universally known that smoking is stupid for all the reasons I'm sure I don't have to repeat. But people still smoke, don't they? They know it's a massive health risk, but they'll still choose to do it, and they'll offer up all manner of justifications and excuses for it. Maybe they'll even express guilt towards their loved ones about it, yet they will still not stop the behavior. And that's one kind of cognitive dissonance. Another kind of cognitive dissonance, much more relevant to the issue at hand today, of course, is content creators out there telling people that Monster Hunter Wilds is dumbed down, that it is too easy, that it offers no challenge, or at least insufficient challenge for it to be a fun video game, for it to be a good Monster Hunter game. Making claims that it is so easy, you can, quote-unquote, plow through it without ever feeling the need to upgrade your armor or refine your builds. But then they turn around and make piles of videos a week after launch claiming to have created the best builds for Weapon X and the most powerful build for Weapon Y. Endgame builds that you need to craft to be powerful enough to save you from carting in the endgame hunts. These difficult, tempered monsters that you want to farm for more parts so you can keep rolling the endgame weapon build RNG system to create the most powerful weapon possible to go with your most powerful armor set possible. And then also making guide videos about how to farm the endgame effectively and how to build these most powerful versions of the most powerful variations of the most powerful endgame weapons possible. So hey, let me ask you this. If the game is so fucking easy, so dumbed down and so lacking in challenge, why the fuck are these people working so hard to create super refined, ultimate efficiency, hyper-optimized and self-proclaimed overpowered builds? Wouldn't that, by their own goddamn supposed logic, make this game, already considered in their eyes to be too easy, even easier, and thus less fun, right? That's how that works. There is no way around the logical inconsistency of that. So what in the absolute cognitive dissonance fuck is going on inside their broken ass, debilitated, atrophied sacks of wobbling pudding that passes for their brains. How do they self-justify this internally? I'll tell you what's going on here. They're grifters. They don't care what is true, what is honest, what are the actual demonstrable facts. They only care about what is going to get the most attention. Clicks, ad views, subscriptions. And guess what? Making people angry about a video game before it even launches gets a lot of clicks. And after the game launches, the grifters lurch to one of two alternatives. Either they find something new to pretend is a controversy and farm the fuck out of the anger of that, or they switch to farming content from people who enjoy the game that they shat on before release. And now, because Wilds is a massive success, now comes the farming from these shysters, these frauds. The game came out, it sold 8 million copies in the opening weekend alone, it had a record-breaking number of concurrent players on Steam, and all of a sudden, it becomes more profitable for them to latch on to the audience enjoying this game that they were, just a week or two ago, assuring you all that it wasn't fun because it was too easy to enjoy. But now this particular grift has failed. Now millions and millions and millions and millions of people are somehow enjoying this game despite it supposedly being too easy to enjoy. Well, now it's time to lay down the bait for those players. That's where the money is now. You can't make them angry anymore because they know the game is fun. You can't trick them into thinking anything else anymore because they've played it. Now it's time to the players I'm seeing cart repeatedly in hunts for Jinderhard, for Gor Magala, in Tempered Rathalos even, or in high-ranked Arkveld. You know, the kind of endgame hunts people like me told you were going to cart people in the supposedly too easy game, exactly like what happened in previous games. Over and over again, I told the truth about this game and its comparative difficulty to World and Rise before it. I even showed evidence from my own playthroughs of World and Rise recently, showing the level of difficulty on offer to an experienced player, showing my hunt times being exactly on par with Wild's hunt times, even showing that low rank was so easy in the old games for me now I can go through them with no armor at all, and that the Wild's difficulty curve was directly in line with previous games, despite people claiming it was made way too easy compared to the older games. I spoke so loudly and repeatedly about how the actually challenging parts of Monster Hunter, in general, not just this specific game, but in the past games, start in the endgame loops and only ever get actually difficult with the ongoing content, the title updates and such. I not only said these things, I showed them. I had evidence that was in front of your eyes. And I was still told I was quote-unquote dick riding, or that I was shilling for Capcom on this supposedly doomed to fail game. Well, who's the fucking dick rider now, huh? Who's the shill now, huh? Is it me, who has had consistent and honest opinions about this game the whole fucking time? Or is it the grifters who told you this game was too easy, that it had failed to get the audience that World did, but now that it's having massive global success, have switched the grift to making content about building super powerful armor sets that you somehow now magically need for the endgame hunts, or else you'll have a hard time? Tell me. Go on, tell me. Which one of us is the shill here? Huh? My own brain, thanks to the relatively unique neural structure that many autistic people are wired up with, I have significantly reduced capacity to maintain cognitive dissonance. The way my brain processes information literally makes it incredibly difficult to maintain a cognitive dissonance. And that's part of why, as I mentioned at the start, cognitive dissonance really deeply irritates me, in the same way liars irritate me in a bone-deep way, because cognitive dissonance is a sibling to the lie. Oh, and if you're wondering about the whole smoking example I gave, yes, I used to smoke, but I remember very specifically having no cognitive dissonance about it, because people would say, oh, don't you know it's bad for you? Yes, I know very well it's bad for me, but I don't actually care that it's bad for me. And I literally didn't. Probably still don't. I would still be smoking now, quite frankly, if it wasn't so goddamn expensive, because, you know, they tax the shit out of it to try and stop people smoking, to try and, put some relief on the healthcare system, etc., etc., etc. But hey, you want to get dark for a second? I don't actually care that much about my health. I don't eat properly. I don't do anything to maintain my health in a good way. As a bipolar person, I have a significantly shortened lifespan anyway. The statistics say that we actually have shorter lifespans than lifelong smokers. So to me, it didn't really bother me that much that I was going to shorten my life because frankly, the end of my life is going to be absolutely friggin' miserable anyway. And I would rather not grow old with bipolar disorder because it gets worse and worse over time. And it's in the recent years, it's been getting harder and harder to deal with. And hey, I'm never going to be a proper old man anyway. So who gives a fuck? Smoking was cheap, I'd still be doing it. That's not cognitive dissonance. That's depression, frankly. So, hey, back on track and away from the dark thoughts. Here's a thought for you. Maybe think twice before you keep watching content from certain content creators who you've seen for yourself, telling people that the game is too easy, and then insisting you should build hyper-optimized endgame armor builds, and then hyper-optimize the endgame weapon farm. So I've watched these people do that, and it makes me angrier and angrier and angrier every time I see another video pop up from one of these shysters. I've been trying some of these builds out of curiosity, and they're all kind of boring anyway. Like, legitimately, they're dull to play. There's nothing interesting going on with the build. That's one of the reasons I generally, in all games, and absolutely in Monster Hunter, avoid the meta builds. It is so boring just to copy-paste these sets of supposed ultimate power and invincibility and whatever. I have way more fun when I'm doing off-meta builds. So my advice to you is do that. Use the underused skills and choose different playstyles to build around. Because that's fun, that's engaging, that's interesting. Try Mushroom-mancer, for example. It's a really underused skill. But I recently tried it as the core of my build, Mushroom-mancer in wide range, in my last playthrough of Sunbreak, just before Wilds came out. And I had a bunch of fun doing that. So yeah, just watch out for the grifters and their incredible cognitive dissonance, their broken brains, and their lies. Because they don't care about you, they don't care about the game. They just care about attracting the clicks. I mean, I care about attracting the clicks because it's how I support myself, but I won't lie to do it. Vile little people. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thank you to the patrons. And we'll catch you next time. And that is all the energy I have for today, because I am in a depressive slump for today. I am in a not terrific place, and I'm just going to crawl into bed for the rest of the day and watch more Star Trek, I think.